big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Drink all the sake I want. Read all the manga I want. Wear all the bape that I want. Buy all the J's that I want. Be with any girl that I want. Drive any car that I want. I'm always out of the country. I'm sorry if I ain't home. If the money ain't calling, I never answer my phone. You can see the flow in my chakra. All we smoke is homegrown. You know the boy love ramen. Probably sipping on miso. I know a spot that has shield. I got a spot that has deals. Wait till I get a kimono. I'ma swag it out in my dojo. Some girls are asking for a photo. I guess this happens in Kyoto. When you young and popping in Kyoto. I ball with all of my nakamas. I dance with all of my nakamas. I drink with all of my nakamas, yeah. I only listen to Cole. I touch down with peace. Hiro isekai, shinara irekai. You are my enemy. You are no friend of me. You covered in jealousy. We only drink Hennessy. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. When I got money, you know it. When you got money, you blow it. How much you caught me a rollie? I'm living like Zach and Cody. Sweet like from young in the OG. From young, we learned to maneuver. I pick up and skirt in a Uber. I grew up with killers and shooters. No tell, but I think I'm cooler. I used to sleep with a deuce. I'm the moon god, got the juice. You switching sides like the man Bruce. Tight circle, cut the loose ends. No, I can go on vacation. You cannot escape from the matrix. I wrote all this shit in the basement. Art is my new occupation. Let's meet up at Kennedy Station. I've been at studio all day. I'd rather just make it the hard way. Sitting back while I'm looking up. Remember backyards cooking up. I just wanna be big. I wanna be big. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Big in Tokyo. I wanna be big in Tokyo. Drink all the sake I want. Read all the manga I want. Wear all the bape that I want. Buy all the J's that I want. Be with any girl that I want. Drive any car that I want. Drive any car that I want.
Music.
Big in Tokyo.
That's the wrong page. I meant to be on this one. Gang. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? My fault. One sec. There you go. What's up? How y'all doing, man? What's really good? Hope you guys enjoyed your day. Let me actually answer a text real quick before I forget. But we're going to talk about some Kubera. And we're going to talk about why everything we watch nowadays sucks. What happened to writing and caring about making a good, genuine product? And why do we pander too much? We're going to talk about it. We will be discussing. But one sec. All right, so I want to talk about I do want to start doing weekly discussions for each Kubera chapter. My hope is by next week, I'll have at least Miles and Vince like consistently. So it'll be good. I gotta read Kubera to stop missing all these streams. It would be nice. The more power that I have from the homies, the better it is. But yeah, I do want to eventually start to get a couple more discussions going. Townsy said he'd catch up. I'll ask him again. Satsuki said he has it rather than months. So it's just and Milios has been looking for I suppose the proper translation for quite some time, and as a result of that, he hasn't. Why is that in the middle over there? This is in the middle. What? And so Milios is like, I don't know what translation is to use, so he was just kind of lost with that. So we should have a solid group of, let's say, on average 3 to 6 people to discuss with coming soon. So I hope that goes well. I promise I'm trying to get more people. I really am. So base 14 was really good. Same, I'll be here for that state of the media topic. All right, bet. I'll let you guys know when I switch topics. I'll send out a tweet or something, or maybe I'll delete the first half and send out another tweet and stuff. But I want to talk about a bit. Well, say hi to YouTube. This will be on YouTube at some point in life. And I truly want to discuss this chapter because I keep thinking the last chapter of Abyss was like, it's like the chapter. What's up, Miles? Yes, we got back up. But then I read another one and I'm like, is this recency bias or is Kurigam just the one? How you doing, bro?
Okay, I'm tired as fuck. I'm just trying to.
I hear you. I'm honestly behind. I meant to do this like probably around 8, but I had to do some driving around, and it just.
Nah, yeah, you're good. You're good.
It just held me back, but no, because I know that a lot of the Kubera readers, I think around this time, at least a good chunk of them, I know like this is like their either early morning, night. I'm not entirely sure. I gotta check some of my. I can't remember where they live in the time zones, but did you read Abyss 14?
Yeah.
Did you like 13 though?
I
don't remember if we talked about it at all.
I don't think I talked about 13. I did like this.
No, I think did I do last week by myself or were you there? I'm trying to remember now.
I don't think I was there last week.
Okay, so I thought the quick thinking of Ran to kind of come up with the idea to make Maruna the wish about Maruna and him wanting to actually like be equal to humans or see humans as equal to him was intriguing because in my head I'm like not entirely sure how all the time discrepancies work, but you could argue that he's already on that path, if not there already, by the time that he develops into his 5th stage after absorbing what was gonna like take over Rowley's. So like to me it was like I wonder if that messes with things, but then I think Ashu in the comment had brought up that like it's Callie, so Callie might have some extra tidbit of chaos that we don't know, just kind of attached to it, so you can never be too sure. But this is coming from a guy that I'm still like, yo, I'm not. Oh, he said, yeah, I'm not gonna hold you if I didn't have class tomorrow. I'd hop in. So don't worry about it. I know you have school now, school time. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think of last chapter before we talk about this one? Cause I thought it was a great lead-in.
Especially with last chapter and this chapter, I'm gonna have to read like a bunch of stuff. I can already tell. I thought it was good. The rules and regulations are always one of those things. Like whenever I read it the first time, I'm like, hold on. It's always like I'm reading this like, wait, what? I think I get the issue of why it disappeared was found in this chapter with the it seems like his heart took on as being representative of being a Shura, which is interesting enough. But and your thing with the time discrepancy is something I was thinking about because it's like, well, I guess we don't know which time frame Maruna is in right now.
No, we're not entirely sure. But even if we're seeing this now, for all you know, when you switch back to the Maruna, what he's doing is completely different than what we think. Just because we're seeing it
Yeah.
at that time doesn't necessarily mean those times sync up at that moment. So you gotta be careful because like I want to assume that, but I realize it's probably safer not to because Kurgan knows what she's doing. I don't have to like I don't have to look down on her. Long story short.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like, let's say there's two timelines, right? You have, let's just say, like year one and year two was current day Maruna, but year one is fifth stage Maruna that went in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would be good to do it in year one, bad to do it in year two. Yeah. So the way in which the time works is really fascinating because they truly replace their past versions when they're in that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it would be really interesting to see like the whole Maruna thing and how that like goes in conjunction with like, okay, well, if the past Maruna's here and then the normal Maruna's not here, does it work? Or we know this will happen because the future Maruna exists in the past, would it then still taken effect? So it is really interesting to see like how all this would work out.
Yeah, and then like to me, we've mentioned this a multitude of times, and it's just at this point it's obvious. But Rand and Maruna are on different trajectories that are like that mirror one another, right? Because they're kind of like foils, I'd argue. So but in a sense. So this part here, I just thought that he was sticking quick on his feet. And at the beginning of the chapter, I thought he actually discerned that this was a fake. I think this one where I think he thinks it's a fake Raltara. Yeah, he's like, are you just pretending to have come back to standing to deceive me and by a person in a Raltara? I thought he saw something we didn't. But then obviously he wasn't sure and stuff. So it was interesting to see them go back and forth. And then he says, okay, let's do this. You have to wish for Maruna's development. But I like the part where he's like, what if it's not Raltara and I just help something who wants to cause a greater disaster with a fully developed body? Like, he's really actually like, my boy is using his brain. He's not smooth brain no more.
Yes.
You know? Like, he's out here being calculated, the opposite of what Maruna's supposed to be. So I really like that.
What do you think it was? What did you think it was? Do you think that's actually Raltara?
I'll put it this way: my dramatic irony self outside of the story says, I think she's in there. If I was Rand, I can't take that chance. I can't. I don't know. I'm not taking that chance. So I would be like, nah, I ain't developing nobody. I'm out of here. Type beat. But it's really dope too because they're like, oh, I think when Cal and Vinca, because obviously Cal and Vinca doesn't know that necessarily the relationship that Rand and Maruna have. They just know that they've been together at some point or they know each other. So she's like, oh, you want to wish for his happiness or something? He's like, nah, I can't do that. He's like, that's not what I'm doing here. Even though he never harmed me and seemed like a mild-mannered good person, it was only because I was a human that was of use to him. It will look completely different from the perspective of other countless humans who died for the sake of his goals. And I thought that was really mature of him. And then he came up with the whole equal to Maruna's sake. And then Raltar was like, all right, I'll do it. And then Calvinka's like, I'll do it too. And then the spell seems to have failed. And when he coughed, I assumed that he started to feel the negative effects of the Eye of Perishment or Pledge token. So when I'm not sure why Raltara at that point, or Maru Tara, Raltara, Maru, whatever fusion this is, started to go at him hard. Now that seemed kind of out of nowhere, but yeah, that was a really good chapter in my opinions. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if she's gonna top this next week. She topped it. I thought this chapter was better, honestly. In my head, when she was retreating with Rand, I did not think she was going to bring him to the Yaksha clan. That did not even appear in my brain as a possibility of things she would do. I thought she would just take him somewhere where there was no conflict and be like, you good? Really? That's what I expected. But then she's like, nah, I'm leaving him here. And hold on, I think it's Raltara in there, but I think Callie has some type of hand in it only because Raltara currently holds the throne of the Taraka clan. Okay, that's interesting. But what do you think of the Calvinka bringing him to the Yaksha clan first, I guess? And I mean, no, them being able to discern qualities make sense for a Sura. It's not a big deal. But yeah, go ahead.
Uh, I was shocked. I mean, I was kind of, as I said, I saw your tweet about the Hanuman stuff, so I already knew that we were going. So I was like, ah, okay.
I'm sorry. I usually don't. I actually
But
usually don't tweet about Kubera. That's my fault.
no, but you're fine. But I was happy. You
I
know,
agree. I mean,
Yasha
I
Clan's my
do tweet about
favorite
Kubera. Sorry,
clan.
I don't tweet the panels that early. Is what I meant to say. Keep going though.
Yeah, but like, I mean, the Yasha Clan's my favorite clan. So for me, this is something that I would love to see because I genuinely enjoy Rand's interactions with usually all the Yasha Master. So seeing Hanuman now, especially her now taking more on that like now her being more a woman. I don't think we've ever it hasn't been explained why she's being a woman just more so now than like because she used to just be a man.
Yeah, because I
Uh
remember when I was like, oh shoot, here comes Grandma Hanuman, and then he was a dude. It's like Grandpa. That's literally what I said. I was like, what?
Yeah. So I'm curious if like after Yaksha died, that's when she just started becoming a human, like a woman, and then that's when like she had her daughter and stuff like that. That but I'm really happy to see her interaction with Rand. It was nice to see. It was nice to see her actually be like more accepting and kind.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. That was a good moment. Well, I'll get to that. But um, the uh, the thing here that I think is kind of weird about the kind of initial scene when she just kind of walks off because of what we learn later on. When she says, "I have unfinished business to take care of," what do you mean unfinished business? She kind of turns around and says, "Saving the future that might die today." Do you think that that's something to do more with whatever her initial mission is related to what Vistu had told her, or do you think that the pledged the Eye of Perishment has affected her in a way that they said like some Suras just like die in the quest because like they're like, all right, we want to wish for this thing, and some Suras like their entire life becomes dedicated to that thing even though they kind of wanted to develop for something else. So I thought it was interesting because it looked to me like maybe the wish affected Kalavinka. I don't know though, and I wonder why she didn't put the neck thing back on. I don't know. Does it look more menacing? Because I think she need. Someone remind me if you're in the chat and you know. Does the thing on her neck turn her face back into human or? I can't remember what it was when she took it off. It is something. I can't remember what it was exactly.
I think it was saying her Shura trait is her head. So the neck was acts as a thing to present her as human.
Okay, there we go.
I think that's all. I think that's all it does.
Yeah,
Which allows her to blend in and know the kids of the village and stuff.
yeah. So look at what you were talking about. I actually thought this reintroduction of Hanuman was great, all things considered. Once you like ran, wake up, wake up, wake up. You've been so keen to take care of your family, but it's this much to your limit. What Yaksha worked for was all in vain. So when he got up and he grabbed something, I knew it was Hanuman, right? Because I'm like, only Hanuman would have that knowledge if we can base it off the same them being the same timeline trajectory, where the version of him in the past would have still met Grandpa Hanuman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually really like this. Then he like grabs her and he's like, wait, who? He's like, who? He's like, who? The king of the clan you belong to. He's like, Hanuman them? Like, I actually thought that was good. I didn't know what, like, because I would argue that the Hanuman that was kind of presented to me in season 2, as brief as it was, and the version that I got back when Yaksha was king, are pretty night and day. Like, or at least they're significantly different enough that I was like, I didn't expect this personality towards more the beginning of the universe to be like this. And then just seems a lot more mellowed out and, like, I guess more empathetic is the word I'm looking for. Like,
Oh yeah, without
so
without a doubt.
yeah, and then recognize that he looks younger than he did when they first met initially. So that was all very interesting, and you don't need to explain. I don't know the circumstances, but I do know I do know now around Sarafi. Blah 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 blah. But let's talk about this issue first. He's like, how the hell did you end up with a pledge token attached to your heart? And I'm wondering, did you think that her being able to discern that while he was unconscious was significant, or do you think I'm reading into it too much? Like, how is there like a way to tell? Is there a mark? Do they all have similar symptoms? Like, how did she know that? Or did Kalavinka maybe say that we don't know? What do you think?
Oh, I guess I didn't actually really even think about that. I guess if I had to use reasoning now that I'm thinking about it. One would potentially be that since it's affected with this heart, which is Yaksha shit, her being a Yaksha Nastica and the current king, and someone who had a very strong relationship with Yaksha, it just might be a special thing that she can kind of have like more of like a sense
Of what's
or
wrong
like
with her
some
people, descendants, people that share the blood.
yeah,
Okay, fair.
or like Yaksha's heart, or it could be just like one of these like like sixth sense of just a Nastica in general, not like how the fifth Zen gods can see in the hearts and like read minds, but like something akin to like that more like supernatural sense, I guess. I don't know. That would be my reasoning as to why. But I guess as you said, it could be Calavinka might have just said something too.
Mm. Okay. Your heart is part of Asura, but development is impossible. There's no way it was equipped with a normal deal. All it does is cause you pain. I guess my only other reasoning was like maybe because like the whole star she goes to, I think she gives 4 examples, and one of them succeeded, the other 3 failed. So I wonder if it's just one of those things where it's like you've seen it enough and you just know what it looks like when someone is suffering from the pledge token. It could be that, even though it's like maybe there's not like.
Yeah.
You have these literal 10 things, but out of these 10 things, if you exhibit about 6 or 7 of them, you can probably assume it's pledge token related. So the dialogue in the pink bubble probably wasn't Hanuman. We've seen those zombie-like things in Rad's subconscious before the pink bubbles like that. Hold on. Oh, you mean when he was unconscious? That's actually not a bad point, because I guess when they wake up, the bubbles and talking and stuff is different. It's not a bad point. I didn't actually look at it that way, because he's had a couple of hallucinations here and there. So I wonder if that was actually someone else talking to. Actually, that's damn. You kind of changed the context of this a little bit, but it's still really intriguing. I didn't see it that way. That's interesting. Y'all got a keen eye for this shit, man. That's good.
They actually might be completely right.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that. Actually, I think I probably agree with that more at this point, but I still think Hanuman has
because Hanuman didn't because she didn't say anything like in regards to as if like his response of grabbing it as if like she did say anything. She was more just like, "Why are you grabbing me?"
Yeah.
So yeah, he might have been here. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
But I guess I would expect her to be like, "Don't you dare talk like that," and I'm like, "I didn't say shit." That's probably what I would have been like if I didn't say nothing. But okay, no, that's fair. But what were your thoughts when you were kind of getting to like? I think it's a bit of an exposition heavy chapter, but I think it was an interesting lore dump, going through all the examples of pledge tokens and Asura development and how it works and doesn't work and what happens to some of the surrounding people and people who are evolved with the wish. I was really absorbed by this. I thought it was really, really cool. Like, what did you think? Because
I'm
at the very sorry.
I'm not gonna lie.
Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
I'm gonna have to reread this chapter a few times because I read it the first time and I was like, some of this shit definitely went over my head like as an explanation.
Because at first they're talking about it, right? Right. And then after, like, they tried to return, like, summon the item again, blah blah, this that, and the other. Then Han was like, "So what's the issue?" And he basically said, "I need to see that humans would regard them as equals." So you're saying you use that item with Maruna? He's like, "No, I didn't. I did that with a different Sura I was trying to develop." It's like, you wish for Maruna to mend his way, separate from the Sura you wanted to develop. It got equipped with such a wish. How strange. And it's like, doesn't it get equipped if the wish is not absolutely impossible, since the wish is just to produce to determine the Sura's sincerity? And he's like, no, the wish doesn't end as a simple procedure. And it would make sense, in my opinion, for the people who like the pledge token tends to really work on what it is for, to have a different perspective and viewpoint on it, or to have a deeper level of insight. Because what I liked about all of this, I'll talk about some of the minutia about all this when they're talking about it. Because remember, at one point, Rand is like freaking out, and he's like, and she actually asks one of her like, I can't remember who. Do you know who this is? The guy with the cat ears. Do you know that person's name? I don't remember the Sura's name, but she asks.
I don't remember his name now.
To leave, so you can tell me what it is and blah blah. And I think she was able to discern what happened, and that's when she like, you know, where's the part that I'm looking for? My favorite part of the chapter, because it was just like Rand's like he's shaking it right. Oh, it's Tatia. My bad. That's Tatia. Wow, it's Tatia. It's right there in the chapter. My fault. So Tatia was probably that wolf thing that we saw at the beginning, then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. My fault. That's
yeah.
I'm slow for that. That's on me. You can roast me for that. That's my fault. Then he's like, "Can you try telling me again without Tatia not even listening?" So Tisk, I'm sorry, I want to tell you, but then she pats his head and she's like, "Despicable bastard, deceiving someone so young and innocent, making him take such a rough journey, and never allowing him to let out his feelings of frustration. It must have been so hard." And at that moment, you could realize how much he's been through. Like, I actually think he's masked it pretty well, because I guess I didn't even pick up on it to that degree. Even though she's like, how unsightly you're crying. but Sara's, Sara's and humans are different, so that's fine to me. That makes sense. But I really love that moment. She's the one who fought against Asha in the present time. Okay, thank you. Oh, it's your show.
She was like, I know this shit hard, but don't cry, nigga.
Like, you bitch. you punk. So no, that was this chapter was really good. So what I want to talk about is Callie's sorry, let me just find the line that I'm looking for specifically. But I just think that this item, for what I can tell, no matter what your goal is and your particular need to develop is, I don't think the trade-off is ever worth it in the long run. That's what it comes across to me. No matter what your cause is, whether you deem it to be I know I'm making a random comment, but the ball girl in this tennis game, she is cute as hell. What the hell? Anyways, what was I saying?
Callie, no, it's never worth using the.
Yeah, it's never worth using. The consequences are much too dire. So like, I wouldn't go into it. And then Rand starts to look like he's being manipulated. I think him and Calavinka are being manipulated with those two items. I'm not sure how or why, but. So she talks about 3 of the 4. They live solely for their wishes and they die in a complete vain. So, first of all, 2 held a grudge against a Nasica of the Dragon Clan, Upala. So, of course, they developed while wishing for Upala to die. Trusting in the power they had attained through the development, they rushed at him and got bodies. Shout to the Vitra clan. Get smoked. We the GOAT, baby. Dragons out here. Do not play with us. You thought your little power-up item was going to help? Die in vain. Shout to the Dragon clan. We out here. Sorry, that's my clan. I'm Vitra clan gang. Callie's basically just effing with the niggas like always, sowing the seeds of chaos. That's exactly what it is. She's really a chaos merchant, right? Then she talks about Mutala died fighting his clanmate Nasica Tasaka. In any case, Mutala died, so the wish they made came true one way or another. And they talk about Callie. I think I'm trying to find a part where they talk about the probability of the wish coming through isn't necessarily what it is. It's just like if Callie actually deems it herself, that it's probably possible. I'm trying to find that line. Can't exactly find. I'm trying to find words.
Yeah, the way it makes it seem is that it's not like it makes sure the future comes true, but it only works knowing if that future is possible to begin with.
And so sometimes it looks like even things that she thinks is impossible, or it's not within what she believes. Well, I want to say the same thing in different words. Then it won't work. Interesting to see.
Yes.
Utala mentioned outside of the finite. That's true. Actually, hold on. Is that the only time that they're ever mentioned? That I'm thinking about it. I probably didn't pick up on that. You probably picked that better than I did. But did you read that, Miles? I don't know if you read that.
I still have not read the finite now.
When you get around to, let me know. No rush.
Okay.
It's actually kind of funny. The Knack video and the finite video are 2 videos that I've had to redo. I just haven't chipped away at it as much as I should have. That finite video should have been out from like May, but some audio got messed up. But I'll now that I'm reminded, I think that should be my next focus. I should just finish it, just get it done. I was so mad. It was like an hour of work, not hour of work, like an hour of like footage just gone, corrupted and wasted.
Oh my gosh!
Because I was speaking for a while. I was like, bro, don't do this. That's so sad. So yeah. So Cal using the wishes that are barely to come true to bait to ruin those Suras. It seems like the wish could come true with the development, but it's actually not the case. Still, one was a possibility, right? To be honest, I thought the item might not respond to that wish towards Runas, but since it responded right away, even if it's Callie's arbitrary judgment, it seems a glimmer of hope. I wonder that possibility may not be in the range that you think it is. I said that out of the 4 wishes, one came true. Archie cursed with the one that did not, or whatever. Sorry. So it was 3 that came through and 1 didn't. I think earlier I reversed it. My fault. Is that what it was? Sorry, I think I said it reversed.
Yeah, 3 came
out
true,
of 4,
1
I
didn't.
said, yeah. I apologize. I was wrong. It's not for my friend a wish for has yet to come true. The possibility of my friend's wish coming true has fundamentally disappeared. I want to die while protecting Yakshinim. At the time Yakshin had been alive, and that friend of mine used that wish as a means to develop. The reason why I thought this might be important because I was wondering if it was tied to Ran, but I don't think Yaksha's death might have anything to do with Ran unless you think he like took his heart and he got weaker in some weird way. But when he left, it looked like he got his heart back because he yeeted.
Yeah, he got it back.
Asura right back. He yeeted him across the galaxy. Like, so I don't know, but that was really good. But the Yaksha died before the Rakshasa on the surface. Okay, I remember what it was. The likelihood of Kali thinking that the first king of a clan would die before some unknown Sura probably wasn't within her calculations, so it worked and whatnot. I honestly think this entire item is interesting, but I wonder if it actually is kind of just do you think it's actually totally from top to bottom a purely bullshit item that Kali just made to mess with people, or do you think it has some redeeming quality or factor, even if we haven't run into it yet? I have a point. I have a bigger point to make. What do you think, though?
I was gonna say this actually kind of goes back to the thing I said like 2 weeks ago when I was giving those questions out, and I was talking about the Eye of Perishment, and I said because this was before we even knew kind of like what the curse could be, right? That like could give it, and to me, I took it as like what Kali was using these tools for, and why people were being like afflicted with this curse that basically makes these Rakshas have the worst lives at the end, was that she's somehow able to transfer her sins from her to them.
Ooh.
That's what they're being used for.
So
And and she's been using this to like try to like regain like, because as we see, she's kind of fucked right now. So I think that was her way of like alleviating a lot of problems that would probably come back to her, like as we see with like Anata and what those sins did to him. So that's what I kind of took what the use of the Eye of Perishment was for. And she was using the development as a means to entice the Rakshas to take it.
Okay, that's interesting. You might have changed the makeup of my point though.
Okay.
But I guess I'll just say what I was gonna say before. I don't know if anyone's in the camp with me here. Hold on. Am I gonna sneeze? I feel a sneeze coming. I don't know. When it comes, it comes.
Te swear.
Merci. But I actually believe that Kali may not be as bad as we think she is. I'm not saying Kali's a good person and not a chaos merchant.
Yeah, I don't think she
I
is
have a
as bad.
very natural disposition that when somebody is being hyped up as overly righteous or overly evil on any end of the spectrum and it's being recounted by multiple people, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like think of any poll as a figure today that any like establishment media or whatever, like just every day hit piece. I'm like, they're probably not. I'm not even saying they're good, but they're not that bad. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm thinking. Vishnu is the one I don't trust. I don't know why. I don't believe him. I don't trust it. I don't trust Vishnu. He's the one that I think is shady. But what the question that I had was, why did you think the rules of the pledge token are explained that way? But if it is almost like this sin, because she's trying to take sins and stuff, I think it kind of makes sense because it's kind of like you make all parties involved fully understand from top to bottom exactly what it is they're getting themselves into. So if you decide to do this, you know that you're taking a shortcut with a consequence. which could, I guess, now in this sense, alleviate her of some of the sin or whatever the hell she could be accumulating or whatever she's trying to get rid of. Because my question to you was, why do you think those rules are in place and so strict? Where it's like, listen, you only will like. Let's say I wanted someone to develop for like a very personal gain. I can't give them a bullshit story like develop to the 5th stage and defeat Maruna because my village blew up. And no, the pledge token actually, what it does is it makes you the strongest 5th stage. I can't lie about it. I have to be honest, right? So I'm like, why was that honesty policy in there? Is basically what my question was.
Yeah, I think that goes with it because we still don't know the full scope of sins, but sins seem to be like a very like not straightforward, but like a very strict means in which you have to navigate through and like be open and honest with. So I think that does tie into then. And again, the app parachment kind of reminds me of like a business, in the sense that like there has to be some level of openness and honesty, and like I can't think of the word right now. But like people have to like know that your product is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like with the clauses of being honest and her using her time thing of seeing these different timelines and knowing what could work, it's people can look at other people using it and say they developed and they got their wish. So whatever even happens after that kind of doesn't matter. So I think like there's like a bunch of small parts that work to make this one item work, if that makes sense.
That's interesting. Nah, cause I gotta. I'm just thinking about that, but I do want to say my biggest takeaway from this chapter is it's time to, it might be time to invest in some Hanuman stocks. I'm a fan. Like this chapter, it was one chapter, but it did a lot for me. It went a long way. I like that moment with Rand a lot. What's that last part I wanted to talk about real quick? So yeah, the wish was merely something. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Not even Kali could predict the circumstances of Yaksha's death, causing intervention conclusively, blah blah. That was nullified. The development was maintained, and the Rakshas's mental defect grew more and more serious. So it seems that a lot of them are completely mentally affected by this, psychological transcendental,
yes.
if you will. Do you if you had to assume the pledge token worked, and we don't know why Rand is dealing with the punch, but assume it worked. Who do you think it afflicted more, or do you think which one of the two do you think was more sincere? Do you think it was Marultara, or do you think it was Kalavinka? Am I saying her name wrong?
If I think Raultara was truly in control for those split moments at that time frame,
okay,
Raultara for sure.
I agree with that.
Because I think the thing with Kalavinka is, and I think this is the issue with a lot of the Shuras, I think they operate in their relationships of what they believe they should be operating on them on, rather than how they truly feel. Mm-hmm. I think Kalavinka's saying this stuff because Maruna is her brother, and it comes down to more of a duty and family thing of like, yeah, that's my brother and stuff. But like, Maruna and Kalavinka have not been together for God knows how long.
He's seen Yuta more.
I don't really know how much. And we've seen even like the Maruna and Yuta stuff and how that was really kind of going down. Where in the beginning, I could be misremembering, but from Maruna, it was more of an obligation.
I would say initially it kind of looked that way because I think the first time they kind of reunite is when Lee's and Maruna reunited in some weird way, and I think Yuta's there and he has to like intervene. If I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, for me, I think it wasn't really until like, honestly, like kind of like before Nada, when Maruna truly saw him for what he was and he could physically see
him. Yeah.
That's not like only until then was like I would say the love really there.
Yeah.
Because like even like beginning season 1 when he's like, no, like you to get out of my way if you do it, I'm gonna like break your legs and just drag you or whatever. Like
So with Kalavinka, I don't really know if she like genuinely loves her brothers at this point, or if it's more of like an
A
obligation. Like,
clan duty, kind
yeah,
of. Yeah, I hear
like
you.
she has an understanding of what the relationship is and what she should do, but that doesn't mean she loves Maruna. So I think Rautaro, who's built this relationship and truly feels like an allegiance and like ownage to like Maruna, I think she would be more honest than
I think what
Kalavinka.
you're my voice is cracked. Am I going through puberty? I think what you're saying makes sense because it actually kind of reminds me of myself for a long time. I think I'm at the point now that I actually, maybe I'm wrong. I think I have true empathy, but I think for most of my life I wasn't actually empathetic from the intuition and feeling standpoint. I could logically be like, you lost your house, you lost your kid. I know things aren't good for you logically. So when you explain that like the relationship, she understands like they're like the how brothers and sisters are supposed to act, and also how like from a clan perspective how things are supposed to be. Maybe she just understood that from a standpoint of logic and reason. But I think Maruna was like that too. But like you said earlier, but with the part when Kubera was the god of Earth, Kubera, I also like be specific about which Kubera I'm speaking about. But the god of Earth, Kubera was like you're being calculating and everything, and he was actually able to. He basically went with his heart and his chest and his feelings instead of his brain. He was able to feel, see, and touch Yuta. And I think at that point it became more of like a true sibling bond in that sense. So that's a good way of putting it out. I never looked at it that way before. What do you think about the party crashes at the very end? I'm here to help, Hanuman. You and Ganhavra knew nothing of what would happen, and without any preparation, suffered damage in N5. But I knew from the start, and I've been preparing. I didn't see that coming.
I don't know what to think of her still. I don't know how to feel about her.
I haven't. My temperature on her is still like undecided as well. So I hear you on that.
Because I feel like there's so much scheming, and it seems like there's so much that she understands behind the scenes. Even like with the way in which she was like trying to like not she wasn't I wouldn't even say manipulate Maruna, but like of don't come back, do this, do that. I don't know how to feel. I just don't know how to feel about her. She might be the one that I'm like the most like not wary of. Wary's not the it's not wary. I don't think the word's wary.
You have no idea where her motivations and allegiances.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm just watching you from a distance. I still have to wait a bit on you.
Mm-hmm. Do we know the timeline of Senpati taking the pledge token? Do you think that the mom came so Senpati can evolve to the fifth stage? I don't know what the exact timeline is, but the other I think I had another question in my head just now. I'm trying to remember what it was though. From a timeline.
Was Maruna was with Senpati when he was in the third stage, right? Because I don't think Maruna saw her at all when he was in his fourth stage. And then next time he saw her,
she was in her fifth.
She was already fifth. If I'm remembering there, I can't remember if he already knew she was in the fifth stage or if this was new or not. I can't remember.
That would have been done before this. After the cataclysm, Yuta was stranded in the human realm. Oh, okay, thank you. So wait, does that mean that the Sorry, help me up with the timeline for a second, cause my timeline is wonky right now in my head, and I'm tired. Not that I would have known if I wasn't tired, but did the emotional resonance with the Yaksha clan stuff happen yet? Where Hanuman was apparently like out of control, and Dustin made the Yakshas, and Rand had that moment when he was younger. Has that happened?
No,
yet?
No, it hasn't.
Or that's going to happen. Cause I have this inclination that we could be inching towards that. I could be completely wrong. I'm sorry, Ashu. I'm sorry, brother. We've been going for a minute too. We've been talking.
Because QZ says, no, we're in the cataclysm now.
Okay, so that was all during the cataclysm. So, because I was trying to discern if Hanuman remained the king after that happened. For some reason, I couldn't remember if someone else took over or they were like kingless.
I'm sorry.
Hanuman did that.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. We're in year 9-5. This is 5 years after cataclysm.
Okay, so then I apologize. Sorry.
It already happened. I'm wrong. Yeah, QZ just said it again. Yeah. I'm wrong. We're 9-5.
I'm definitely gonna have to. I might. You know what I think I'm gonna do when I'm still gonna do my own reread, but when I do a reread maybe online and stuff, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to do the thing that I did. What series I do this with? I can't remember series I did this with. It'll come to me when it comes to me. Where I literally had a huge paper with just a line, and I would just dot years where certain events happened on the timeline. I'm gonna have to do that with this series. So Shuri was the king up
Yes,
until the cataclysm. Hanuman became the king after that. Oh, was it Shuri that went through the emotional resonance thingamajigger maduber? Wasn't it Hanuman? I guess
oh, it
Hanuman
was
would
a
have been
bunch of them.
affected either way though if she wasn't. It wasn't a
It
king.
was I mean, it was a bunch of them because again, the Harvard did it too.
Cause
So it was a bunch.
it didn't affect I almost said Utah Lutz, if I remember correctly, right? Or at least it didn't seem to. It seemed to affect.
It was remember it only
Was it
affected
Rand's?
halves.
Was it Rand and Rand's mom?
Yeah, because it only affected halves. It didn't
Oh.
affect quarters.
Okay. Yeah, Utah was with Shuri. On what? Ashali, we don't really know. Shuri apparently vanished during the cataclysm, so there's something there we don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Kalavinka went with Vishnu, Maruna went with Gandharva, and what's his name went with Yuta went with Shuri.
Okay. But this was a really good chapter, though. I really liked the info dump. I like them talking about the three instances where the Eye of Perishment or Pledge token was successful. The one where it wasn't. Shout out to the Vitro Clan Dragons. We out here. Shout out to Soccer. That's my guy. And Hanuman stocks. I'm going to invest. I really like Hanuman. I'm not going to act like Hanuman's top 10 all of a sudden, but like did a lot for me. This shit did a lot for me. I really like that moment with Rand. It was one of those where Rand. I know that. You know what's that meme where it's like there's two types of things. Only two things men want, and one of them was like a girl hugging with being like, "You've done enough. It's okay. You can rest now." He had one of those moments. You could barely the timeline, but I don't know how up to date it is. Okay. I'll
Hold on. I think I'm just connecting a bunch of shit, but I could be completely a moron right now.
No,
okay. All right. Arivata Kanara, right?
yeah.
When she had both of those names, she was going through immense physical and mental stress because she couldn't contain both names, correct? That's why she had to get rid of the Arivata name, and she passed it. Or no, she kept the Arivata name, and she passed the Kanara name to the one girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, oh, you're asking me.
Yeah.
There's someone else to chat to verify. But keep going.
This is when she was fighting the two Nastikas from Garuda Clan and Kubera and Yama.
I remember that, but like I don't remember if she had to get. I know she was in emotional distress and in pain and stuff. I do think she was trying to get rid of one of the names because didn't the other girl have Kanara and Anand's?
Yeah, she gave
girl,
Kanara.
But you don't talk about Kanara. She
gave
Kanara.
the name Kanara and she kept Arivata, right? Because Arivata at that time was a more powerful name.
There's data books. I gotta learn Korean.
Jesus.
Sorry,
so we know that beings aren't supposed to have more than one, like the powerful names you're not supposed to like really have multiple of, right? Okay. Callie took Taraka as her name, right? She has two. She has Callie and Taraka. She took the Nastica name. She kept it for herself. Interesting. Okay. Callie, as we see right now, her body's relatively destroyed. So from what it seems like, is that her body probably couldn't take on the power of the two names, and that's why she's in the state that she's in. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe. But going with that, the only thing that she could do then, right, is somehow finding a way to pass that name
physical
on to
printed
someone else.
Books. Sorry, keep going.
So, going back to the Eye of Perishment with the sins, maybe kind of like how Clear was able to split his name and power. Maybe if it's not the sin thing, maybe it's also a way of her but giving away her power of the name Taraka, so her body can like live with like the less power of the name.
Okay,
because right, Sampahati, right, who got the Eye of Perishment, later became a Taraka clan member.
Repeat that.
Sampahati, right, who developed
You said she became a Taraka, a Thin Clan member.
She did, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I don't think so. I don't remember that.
Remember?
The last thing I
Remember, it was the
remember,
whole.
honestly, was Senpanti. I remember her, like being in space and Marina pulled up on her.
Yeah,
And-
remember she was all red now and stuff. She became a Taraka Clan member.
Did she really? Did I not notice?
Yeah. Yeah, she became a Taraka Clan member. So what I was saying is, was if uh that was because potentially I perished, but I could be misremembering, and she just got murked by other Taraka clans and absorbed. But this is just me because okay, never mind. QV, yeah, okay,
Oh,
never mind.
Oh, she got eaten.
I'm trying to connect points. Yeah,
After
never
Kassak
mind.
pushed her in the end of season 2. Okay. That's tough. Shout out Kassak, man. Future Clan, we out here. Dragons Raw. No emotions. Yerp. You already know. Oh, man. This journey of Rand and Maruna has been so engaging. I do wonder at what point we're going to stop and maybe focus on somebody. I'm not complaining because I still like both characters and it's been good. It's just one of those things where, like, I wonder if somebody who's like a Utah fan or Lee's fan or something, they're like, please. I just want to see that. It's been so long. I don't know. I know, right? Amazing duo. Wouldn't put it past Curry to pull some crazy twist there? I mean, I could see it. I want those physical volumes. That's disrespectful. They got physical volumes with Kubera in Korea. I gotta make this thing popular. It's the only way. They gotta see the money. If they don't see the money, they're not giving it to us. I gotta figure something out.
Hell no.
I don't even want those TOG volumes. I'm kind of lying. I want the first 2 seasons. I'll never buy the third one. I'm not putting that on my shelf. Hell no. I don't know. That's good though. Anyways, you have any final words on the chapter?
Yeah.
If shipping wasn't hell on earth, I would have gotten the Kubera volume already. I want to be able to read it though, so I would want it to be in at least French or English. They got French volumes. I know TOG got French volumes first. I want to say before the English ones came out. See, that's fine. That's not an issue, cause I like Radiant. I don't even read in English. Don't send me a English translation for Radiant. I won't read it. I'm reading it in French.
You caught up? Did you
I'm not caught up at all. I remember reading like 3 years. My point is, if you send it to me. If you
got to get back into that. That's my shit. Real shonen.
You and Vince have said that, so and I believe y'all. So you know,
my man right there. That's Seth. That's my boy. Real make it right there.
You got Crocodile back, so it's all good right now. There's a bundle of 12 current volumes on G Market, but shipping is like $40. But is it in English? Can I read it, or is it all in Korean? That's all. All that matters if I will suck it up for Kubera's worth it. I'll do it. Suck it up. I don't even like spending money, but if it's for Kubera and I can read it in French or English, I'm in there like swimwear. But all right. Thank you guys for listening. I'm not ending the stream, but I'm gonna switch topics for the most part. You could still bring up Kubera stuff, but I want to talk about a conversation I have with my pops about the current state of things. So first, what I'm going to do is take off this camera, deactivate, remove that GIF, deactivate the window capture, go to solo, hiya, hit this one, hit that one. I'm going to change this One Piece thing to just chillin', I guess. Where's the chest? I think it's my desktop. There we go. Just ask Tiara to translate and pay her the money directly. More reliable. I want the physics. I want it on my shelf. I want to remove everything on my shelf and make it all in Korean. But Korea does give English names for some of the characters and attacks and the extras. Okay, I mean, well, I'll figure a way out. In 6 years, if we have Kubera volumes, I want credit. I did this. It was me. I'm the reason. Miles, have you watched anything new recently? Just in general? Anything new at all?
In terms of what?
TV, a book. But like it has to be something that it hasn't necessarily be a new property. It could be a reboot or a remake of something, but just something
Oh yeah,
genuinely
yeah.
pretty new.
Well, one, I'm a huge movie guy, so I be going to movies all the time. But yeah, even
Nerd.
shows.
Okay.
Like I'm watching House of Dragons right now.
How's that?
It's really good.
Mm.
I think in some ways they like kind of like done the OG Game of Thrones formula a little bit better, where I think it's a little bit more serviceable and stuff, where I think they're a little bit more concise and a little bit more open and easy, like more readable, but like all the like machinations of who's doing what.
Mm.
Because sometimes I feel like in old Game of Thrones, like you'd be like in an episode, you're like, wait, so who's doing what right now? And again, I think it may be more condensed cast, so it's a little bit easier. But I think it's a little bit easier to follow, but it's still very much Game of
What is it
Thrones.
actually about though? I know it's a prequel, but what's it about again? I actually don't know what it's about.
So we're literally like in the this is 100 year, like 110 or so years after the Targaryens first came over to Westeros and conquered it. So like we're 100 years into like the Targaryen like dynasty. Uh and basically after like one of like the most peaceful eras, their king Jaehaerys died, and he could pick between basically uh two heirs, Viserys and Rhaenys. Rhaenys is a woman, unfortunately, so of course I went to Viserys, and it's kind of like starting off with like him, and him trying to get an heir, and he only has a daughter right now.
Mhm.
But the thing of women can't really be heirs in like Westeros and stuff like is going on, uh, and stuff like that. We have like more dragons. Targaryen is the most powerful family. So stuff like that.
Okay.
There is source material for House of Dragons. Actually, I think it's called Blood and Wine.
I
No,
only
that's
read the Song of Ice
that's
and
Witcher.
Fire, and then everything else I watched it. I didn't read a single thing after that book. I don't know how
There's a book.
No, it's meant, like,
There's a
I'm
book.
saying,
Yeah.
when Game of Thrones was coming out, I read the Song of because I'm the guy who's like, if I'm gonna peep the adaptation, I'm gonna read it first. But what happened was I read the first book and I watched it, and then I didn't go back to. I didn't read it. I didn't read a single
Yeah.
after it because I'm usually like that. I'll try to because I think I read Dune before I watched Dune. So, but yeah, is there a source material? Oh, so you're asking Song of Maiden Sleep. What's up, Lizard? Welcome back. Me and you have to we have to file a lawsuit against the EWF for discrimination against Canadian wrestlers. I have our lawyers ready. We'll be submitting a formal complaint to the league in 2 days, and we're gonna sue them for all they're worth, or they're gonna put respect on Canadians. All right, but I actually okay. I mean, fair enough, because all things considered, for what I can hear, House of Dragons has been completely fine. And I don't want to make it seem like it's all shows and all books and all comics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was having a conversation, and I was like, and they were like, "Yo, why does everything have to have all this nonsense in it?" And I said, "What do you mean by nonsense?" And it's just like it always comes across to me like what I'm watching is trying to tell me that I'm a bad person in some capacity. And I'm like, "Oh, how serious talk that, not you?" And I'm like, because I in my opinion, for a lot of new things that come out today, even if it's not a new property, I just think it panders. I don't think it necessarily tries to be a good product from top to bottom. By which I mean this. I've noticed something different with the way some people pitch things to me. It used to be like Miles would be like, "Hey, yo, what's that movie you recommended something to me earlier? What was it again? It was a book.
Everywhere, Everything, Everywhere. Oh wait, book or movie?
I watched them. I watched that movie.
Yeah, is that the movie you're talking about? Or are you talking about?
Well, but that's a good example though, right? And then if I asked you what it was, you'd be like, it's kind of like a multiverse, whatever, blah blah, this, that, and the other. Cool. But I would argue if I'd asked somebody else, they would have told me you need to watch this because, like, it's really important for like Asian representation and stuff. And I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. But my question to you, no matter how you try to be like, you need to read this book. What was that one thing from Image? I think they were all black creators, and like you gotta get this, you gotta support it. I'm like, I don't gotta do nothing. Is it good? And then remember my friend kind of be like, oh, like I mean I like it, I guess. And it's like that's how you sell something to me. You don't tell me this person made it, that person made it. It's got this lead, that lead, represent this character, that character. I don't give a damn. Is it good? Will I read it and be moved? Will I watch it and be moved? Will I play it and be moved? And I think there is a bit of a misunderstanding for what I've seen a lot of people that I see complaining about this. Because I'll be very honest with you. When I'm editing, I usually have some bullshit on the background. I've been listening to a lot of people that I've never heard before complain about the She-Hulk show, the another show that they don't like. That's supposed to be woke or whatever, and the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, right? And they've had a lot to say about it. And with me, I think the part that they miss is I don't really think anything is apolitical for the most part. Do you agree with that? Like,
You
if
don't think most things are
like-
apolitical?
like if I read, play, or watch something, the likelihood of it being completely apolitical is low, because my world views and the way that I see the world will seep in and bleed into there in some capacity. Doesn't mean it's overt. Doesn't mean it's a conservative show or whatever show. It just means that the way that I view the world is probably going to be represented in some way, shape, or form throughout the narrative. Correct?
Okay.
And I think I hear a lot of comic book fans complain about stuff like this too. And I get what they're talking about, but I always remind people, you like X-Men. X-Men is quite literally a political statement against discrimination. Homo sapiens, Homo superius. You know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff is in there. I don't know if they're just they're not smart enough to pick it up, or they're not looking for it, but it's always in there. But what I think the problem is now is that it looks like to me there's like a set of check marks that they need to check. Like, is there a black guy? Is there a LGBT representative? Is there this and is there that? And they play up, in my opinion, the worst parts of that kind of thing. Like, I actually would argue that they're more divisive than they are inclusive with the way they do things, because to me it's not organic. And again, I'm not saying my viewpoint on this is the end all be all viewpoint on this, but like, I would rather have somebody in the show who's like whatever and it's not a big deal. We don't highlight it. To me, that's how you make something come across as more normal. Oh, there's two guys holding hands walking down the street or whatever the case is. And you don't go like, oh my God, gay, and you highlight it, right? Like, no, just let it be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see that with a lot of things that I see coming out today. And even if the show is relatively normal, I find that the way they market it is always like it's trying to beat me over the head with propaganda. I don't know if it's just me. I'm just dejected and I'm jaded. But go ahead.
Okay. Let me try and see. I think there's, in some regards, I would agree with you, and so I think some distinctions would have to be made. So, I think I can concede the point that marketing is a lot different than what it used to be.
Okay, yeah.
Where I think they are more so appealing to beliefs that our society believes that are quote unquote good, and things that are we should have, and they're marketing towards that rather than the content of the stories that they're trying to tell. I think I can agree with that. I think that's pretty safe to say. But I will also say, just because they're marketing it that way doesn't mean that the content of the stories
I agree with that.
would fit that marketing narrative. You know what I mean?
I actually agree with that. I do think some things that I've like seen, like, oh, based on how you marketed it, I didn't expect it to be this type of movie, show, whatever it is. So I actually agree with that.
Oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
So that's what I will say about one. And then going to your No, going to the actual content itself. I see. This is hard because I think because I feel like this is a super hard thing because I feel like we're in such a time and space where, as you kind of said, like discussion and like the barriers between fans and viewers and those that create the television series have never been more intertwined, that it's so hard to remove people from certain situations like that are revolving around these shows. So inclusivity has changed a lot. And I think it's good in the sense, I think I can agree with you in the sense of pandering isn't good because now I feel like
It's patronizing. I like to be patronizing.
It is yes, that's a good way of putting it. It's patronizing in the sense of you're doing this for the sake of trying to virtue signal rather than you thinking that me being a black person truly deserves being represented.
Exactly.
And that's not fair. So it's such a tough situation. No,
just one. I'm just curious because I want to know if it's just me, like if I'm crazy, because someone was, like a super Tolkien fan that I know was like, I still don't know what the Rings of Power is supposed to be about. Apparently, the trailer's not saying anything. It's just a bunch of shit happening. But he's like a diehard Tolkien fan. Like he's like really upset though. I don't know though. I can't.
But I'll also say most fantasy television shows aren't good. I genuinely think Game of Thrones was
an outlier.
Yes, it's a novelty. Like it's what Game of Thrones did. I don't think most people understand like how impressive it is that they did that. There's so many. Think about how many famous fantasy stories that have been adapted that people are just like, this is mid. Now there are movies that can do relatively good justice. I know people love the OG, like Lord of the Rings series, but again, movies and television shows are different because at least with movies, you have far more ability to make this vision come to life. Television shows is a lot harder. So Game of Thrones really was like a 1 in a million chance that worked. Truly. And I do think, and I will say this, I think this can be lost on some people. Yes, they had the 5 seasons were based off the book, which helped a lot. But you would also have to recognize the style in which the way the book works and how not every character is a character with their own POV and chapters. Thus, a lot of the characters that you get in the show and a lot of the dialogue that you don't see wasn't written by George R. R. Martin. It was written by the actual writers on the show, such as everybody's favorite interactions with Peter Baelish and what's the spy master's name? Is it Viserys? But him, one of the greatest pieces of dialogue in the show is when they're in the throne room talking about like chaos as a ladder and they're having this great back and forth. That's not in the books. But people will only look at the terrible things of the last 2 seasons and say they fucked the show up when they've created so many unique pieces of dialogue that have nothing to do with the book that people love and know. Okay. But that's just that. And then kind of going back to your thing, I do think a huge issue just with a lot of like the conversations nowadays is like a lot of bad faith is going on. I think with a lot of these engagements, and I don't like the way in which a lot of people. I think a lot of stories are being recontextualized, right? When we're looking at a lot of new adaptations, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing because we would have to be aware and honest. Yeah, Varys, thank you, Ashu. We have to be honest about the engagement of how these stories were created and if it's okay to change certain things. Okay,
So
so
let me
like
ask you a question. Do you think it's okay to not change it though? If somebody, if, let's
yes,
say
I
there
think
was a
okay,
creator who
yes,
wants to stay true to what Tolkien did, and that includes keeping the characters looking how they're supposed to look, I would argue that would I guess me
that's
and you are
fine.
rational enough to be like we're okay with it, but it probably wouldn't go well in the public. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. So I think so because one, yeah, this is kind of like a huge thing because like a lot of the creators that do like the new adaptations and new stories are also greenlit by the actual authors themselves most of the time, right?
Well, they might just want
Percy
to check. They might
Jackson.
just want to check though.
It's, I mean, it's possible, right? Maybe, but I think from some of the, I'm trying to think, from some of the ones that I have seen, I don't know, maybe not, right? Like the author of Percy Jackson has switched races, and he's okay with that. He said like he's come out multiple times and
Instead,
like said like
you misunderstood the purpose of the story, or whatever. If you like have an issue with it,
yeah,
something to the effect of that, right?
and he also said like he's even recognized. He said early on, I was in like my writing career writing this. He actually regrets not being as diverse as he should because these are literal people with multiple like with parents of gods that spans throughout like the US and they're supposed to be very culturally diverse. He said that. That's why he's fine with making changes and that's why every time later in his books it gets more and more diverse. Even with the new Sandman adaptation. I think there's some race things, but
Gentlemen.
Gaiman, he was on that the entire time. He approved every single change.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I always find it weird when people aren't happy when there's like some cosmic entity or god that isn't always a specific thing because like these are beings I feel like that racial, sexual, whatever don't matter because they're literally above it. They don't exist within those confines. So for me, whenever it's switched or changed based off the medium, shit like that to me doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I find it weird when people are bothered by that shit. Like they're not human.
No,
Now you're
that's fair. I actually think that's totally fair.
yeah.
But I think the difference is that we're looking at it from a nuanced perspective and trying to like we'll always have our blind spots. We can't be perfect. That's why, in a lot of ways, I like having these type of discussions with multiple people because I know how I look at things, and there's probably a way, like a perspective I'm not considering. And I had a point. Never mind, keep going. I had a point. I forgot what it was.
yeah. Uh but then I guess going back to the swapping. So like I think the Lord of the Rings stuff is hard, right? Because I think it to me it kind of goes back to even the Witcher stuff. I don't know what Middle Earth is based off of, but at least I think in the Witcher world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like their country's based off Poland. It's just a fantasy version of Poland, which is mainly white people, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of actually makes sense that they're all basically white. Lord of the Rings. I don't know enough lore about Lord of the Rings to even
Neither
try
do
to
I.
make
It's
arguments
basically
about
why I've stayed out
what
of it.
is what.
Because I'm like, I'm not a Tolkien guy. I don't really. I'm not saying.
Yeah,
I'm not even saying I dislike him. I'm not a Lord of the Rings person. I don't care.
but to me, whenever I look at fantasy and stuff like this, my point is if I'm looking at a fantasy world that is encompassing of a true blue world with multiple countries, multiple cities, then I cannot personally respect you if you only have one like specific type of race. To me, it just is illogical. That's how I personally view it.
Okay.
And to me, I hate most discussions nowadays because I feel like you're not being honest with the discussion of why you don't want specific people that look a specific way in it because I don't give a fuck. You cannot tell me that it doesn't make sense for someone to not be in it when I'm seeing magic in the world, okay? In real life, Asian people exist. In real life, Black people exist. In real life, Indian people exist. In real life, multiple different ethnicities, cultures, and races exist. Dragons don't exist. Okay, magic doesn't exist. People can't cast the spell Fireball with the snap of their fingers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so let's be honest and have good faith with the discussion. That's something that I am get annoyed by, because I see this in like most stories with like very huge worlds, and people are like, oh, they're just race swapping for the sake of race swapping. Sometimes maybe authors or characters or people realize like that things, it just actually makes more natural sense for them to exist the way they do, and I think that's fine. I don't think that's that big of a deal.
Okay.
So that's kind of my take.
Is it Nine Miles and talk about Mistborn's Allomancy someday? Someday.
I haven't
I
haven't
actually-
read it yet.
I actually want to make a video on. Like, I don't know. I have so many ideas. Just so little time. Let me not put it out there in case you guys get a hype. So I'm just keep it to myself. But okay.
Don't worry, Asher. I'm gonna read it.
I think what you said was fair. My opinion is, kind of make what you want and do it kind of unapologetically, for the most part, and all things considered. But I want to get to the next part of the discussion, which comes to more towards the content. So let's leave the other stuff aside. And I'm one of these Star Wars fans. As the punching bag here because it's low hanging fruit and I'm tired. I mean, generally speaking, how much do you know about Star Wars? If you care about it, I don't remember if I ever spoke with you about.
I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan.
Okay, so like, did you used to read like Legends comics and stuff like that, or no?
I've never read the comics, though. I did used to like watch like a bunch of videos about like all like the legends and stuff like that. So I like have like a general idea of like.
Did you watch
a lot
Clone
of like?
Wars?
I watched some like when I was younger.
Okay,
But, like,
not the
I never-
not the Gennady one. That looks like Samurai Jack, the actual like Clone Wars series where they're like.
Yeah, I watched some of that when I was younger, but I don't remember like a lot of what happened.
What
So
about
I never
Rebels?
finished it. I did actually not watch Rebels now.
Okay, but you've seen all the movies though, all 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think with the Star Wars fandom, just in general, just real quick, just for shits and giggles, before I continue? Like,
If I'm being
man-
completely honest,
babies,
I
man-
think
Okay.
I think the Star Wars fandom is the most toxic, destructive, and disgusting fandoms I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh shit.
Truly, I have no respect for. That's not true. I think there's a lot of good people in the fandom, truly, that want to do good.
Hmm.
But the level of bigotry that just exists, the level of non-critical having discourse, the amount of screaming, and the amount of self-hate that they have for a series that they speak about loving so much is actually ridiculous. I have no respect for them at all.
I wonder what you've seen. That's crazy. Because even when you were talking about some of the discourse that people were having about all these stuff, like, I honestly only see this stuff pretty passively through some content creators that I just go through for like general news and culture stuff, right? I'm starting to realize how important in terms of, I guess, creating, maintaining, and creating culture that pop culture, media and art and literature have. So movies, games, stuff like that. Is actually low key how some people are programmed to believe certain things, and there's a part of me always known that. But as somebody who was like, oh, don't play, but people been told, oh, if you play Grand Theft Auto, you're gonna steal a car, and I'm like, bro, I'll see 50 Cent talking about shooting niggas and getting shot 9. I have no desire to do these things. I could completely disconnect myself from what I'm watching, consuming, and listening. So like for me, I don't see it that way, but I could just be like, that's a Nair thing, maybe, right? So I also thought that was weird because I was like, this is the rap music, and then you're gonna do this and do that, and I'm like, I don't even want to shoot anybody. Like, I'm not interested in any of this stuff. So I asked that because I actually kind of agree with you from what I've seen. I think Star Wars fans are babies, but I was gonna say that to some degree, I was gonna say I think they get a bad rep because I do think that a lot of outlets with a lot more power and sway and popularity, notoriety, and a lot more eyes are on it, over overinflate their frustrations by just saying you're mad because Ray's this or Finn is black, or there was the whole thing apparently with the girl who played Rose. They were like bullying her or something like that, and whatever the case is. And a lot of times when I'm like, I myself go through some comments and look at stuff, those people are there. Oh, whamming or this or blah blah blah, or oh, gotta get my diversity tokens in there, whatever the case is. But I'm like, some of these people have real in story, in canon, in lore issues with why some of the characters could be what they are or what they're capable of doing. So the general complaint is Rey being the greatest, most specialist girl ever, the ultimate Mary Sue, whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
And when I hear like certain like Star Wars fans talk about Luke's journey and Anakin's journey and how the Force works and their deep understanding of it, I don't go, oh man, baby. I go, this is just somebody who actually cares about the internal consistency of a series that they like. And I would argue that I'm that way with stuff that I care about. Fortunately for me, I'm a Star Wars passing enthusiast. That's how I've always seen myself. New movies coming out, some game or something's coming out, woohoo, yay! Then it's done and it's gone, and I move on with my life because I don't really. And especially since Disney's trilogy, I'll be honest, I like 7. All things considered, I think 7's a good movie. I think it's ruined by 8 and 9. But what do you say to the people who literally have like in story, in canon, in lore reason for why they might have a complaint with something that's changing in like maybe like a Rey or something? Because I think with the sorry, real quick, with the Finn thing in hindsight, because I remember being mad too when they're like, oh, how could he be black? It's stupid. It makes no sense. I'm like, that's kind of racist. But they're like, no, because stormtroopers are all clones of fucking thing. So so in their head, they didn't know that stuff was changed. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. If he's literally a stormtrooper, he couldn't be that. And I agree. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Towards the end of the Empire, didn't it just have dudes in costumes though?
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. All right. So like, I'm saying if I had that line of thinking, I could understand that. Which to me, I'm like, I don't even think that's racist. That's just a writing thing. Like, what would you say to that?
Here's my thing. I am never going to have issues with people that have actual logical reasoning and can critically engage in why they don't like agree with something. I may not agree with you, but I'm not going to get head in heels like whatever. I have issues again with the loud and wrong people, right? So with stuff like what you're saying, Naya, there are probably people that say stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. But most people are more just like, Finn is black, he can't be here, that doesn't exist. Yeah. But as we said, no, stormtroopers became obsolete. The clones became obsolete. So they then started basically recouping their losses of the clones with normal people. Mm-hmm. So no, it actually is fine. So to me, that's saying you don't even know the fucking canon. You don't know what you're talking about. So why are you being so out loud and speaking about this? Especially because the manner in which you came out of it was kind of weird. Which to me is, there's always going to be the issue of I can't point and say you're doing this because you don't like black people because, racism is extremely subtle in today's climate, so it's impossible to speak it out, whatever, okay? I'm just going to have my thoughts in my heart of hearts.
If you're racist, just be racist.
Yeah.
This lets me know who to avoid. It's really easy. I hate the subtle shit.
and this goes again with the race shit. Mm-hmm. The issue with most stuff is, Naya, if you talk to most Star Wars fans, when you speak about the sequels, they're not going to say, I don't like the sequels because I feel like it was a disservice to Luke's character because I saw Luke as someone that completed his journey and should have had a proper send-off and a proper enjoyable life after what he's done for the galaxy. That's not what they're saying.
What's somewhat frustrating about Luke is if you read like Grandmaster Luke in the Legends,
his life was a lot different.
You're
Yeah.
like, where is even one iota of this Luke? But keep going.
I agree.
I don't like Luke, so I never liked him, so I don't really care. So like,
I
but
love Luke, and I like the Grandmaster Luke because I like
my favorite
how
characters
he
in Star Wars are Ahsoka and
reshapes the
Kenobi
order.
and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are my favorite two characters in Star Wars.
You know me. I'm a basic guy. I'm Anakin and Luke.
Okay.
But so, however, that's not what people are saying. When most people talk about
I
sequels,
really
they
wanted to like Kylo
literally.
Ren. I tried.
Actually, I don't mind him.
No, I just don't
The-
like what
the-
they do with him. Like I think his character arc
That's
is
fine.
weirdly ruined in the last movie or something or whatever. But I just
Stuff like that's fine. The issue is when I hear most people talk about it, and this is like literally what I usually see. It's the moment you bring up the sequels, it's I hate fucking Rey Skywalker. That's literally all people say. There is no intellectual discourse. Most people don't describe why they don't like Rey.
Like,
All
I
it
got
is,
you.
I don't like Rey.
Mhm.
She's just too powerful. She's not that strong. I don't like Rey. That's why I don't like engaging most people, because they like to pretend that they don't like things because it doesn't make sense within the the consistency of their story. When most of the times they just don't like people because it's not what they wanted. It's not who they visually saw themselves as like being. It's not the correct man. It's not the correct race. That's what it usually is, because they can never properly explain why they don't like something.
okay.
You know, that's why. If you can give me reasonings, then that's fine. But most people can't. And that's why I just don't care to like I just don't think most people are intellectually like honest with what's going on. And that pisses me off a lot.
I think I agree with you with the majority. I'm kind of talking. I guess I'm talking to the people that I don't know. Like how there's somebody that I've been watching pretty recently. His name's the Critical Drinker. He's kind of funny, in my opinion. But he's some. I think some people would argue that he comes across as one of those type of people. But I find that if his complaints are real, because I don't half the time he's talking about something I don't even watch, because it's hard for me to say. I checked out so many things. Disney, all these new shows. Like from a really it started in 2015, but by 2017, I know what corners of the world to go to get what I want. I get my like little Don Hua from China, my little shows from France, and cartoons and here and there. Like I know where to look. I have my little indie shit. I have my independent comments on like from Image, Boom Studios, Valiant, Dark Horse, whatever. Like I just know where to go to find what I want. So I'm never pressed about a game or book or a show to watch. I know where to find that stuff. So I just let them rock, so to speak. Hold on. Ready to move me? Wait, you got the Overdrive online library. Lets me check out books. It's cool. Thanks. I guess I'm one of those. Could I be ignorant on stuff, not really fully invested in? Yeah, I'm kind of like, you know, it was horrid. And in episode 9 tried to see. I actually hear that a lot. The 9 tried to save 8, and maybe because Abrams did it, sure. But I argue that it just the biggest problem with the Disney trilogy is the continuity. I feel like every movie's trying to rewrite the last movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But shit, what was I saying? I don't remember. Star Wars never moved me, even when I was a kid. Now when Obi-Wan was fighting Darth Maul and he hit him, that was the day. That was the day.
Yeah, no,
but
the
I'll be honest with
choreography
you.
was
For a
different.
long time,
Mhm.
I liked the Star Wars movies solely based on how good the lightsaber fights were. That was the
That's-
only deciding
that's
factor, and that's
fine.
why 3 was the GOAT for so long for me. Because I'm like, yo, Anakin and Obi-Wan went crazy. Was that Mustafar? Was that what they were on? They went crazy. I said that's why this one is incredible, dude. So
See, and like even like SKJ says, like him saying Ray just doesn't move me. That's completely fine.
I really like
Like,
Daisy Ridley, and so I want to like Rey.
Yeah.
But I have the same problem that they have. I think she's the strongest Star Wars character that I've seen, animated in general. I could make a what's Star Killer's real name? Galen something.
Yeah,
I maybe
can't
could make
remember.
a somewhat of a case for Star Killer. One of the clones I think were really strong, but
I think yeah, because I know in the games he's supposed to be OD, but I think when in his books, his novel, he's supposed to be just True Blue equal. Is it to Darth Vader? Is he just outright equal?
Merrick?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Is it Mara Gaelic? Or
Merrick,
Gaelic
something
Mara?
like that, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. But
But
like,
cause I was shocked when she beat Kylo Ren, but I thought maybe they're gonna do something interesting here because
there we go.
maybe because I was like, okay, no, cause I didn't I like I wanted to wait. I said in my head I'm like 8 and 9 will tell me how much sense this moment really made, but I do think her being able to figure out a lot of the stuff that she figured out and the stuff she does in general is pretty ridiculous. I'm just like, it suspends my belief because even in some of the ridiculous things that I've seen in Legends, it's taken a lot of time and training and somebody guiding you to that point. No one just figuring this shit out, being super special, awesome. And depending, I guess who you ask, a super Star Wars fan, they'll still tell you that Luke is the strongest, pretty much ever. And if Anakin is able to reach, like, I guess his like maximum potential, and he's not nerfed by getting the cybernetics, he would be. And I'm just like, I just think it's Rey, bro. I don't think anyone's stronger than Rey. I think Rey's the strongest. I don't know.
I think this is something I also have to come to learn. Bro, like, it's who's like, I think I used to care a lot for sure. But like at this point, it's like, who gives a fuck if they're the strongest or not? Who really cares? What does it matter?
They want like, I don't know. Like my understanding is they just wanted her progression to make sense and be in line with like what they're accustomed to. Do you think that it's unfair for an established legacy series that people are accustomed for it being a certain type of way for someone to come and completely in their eyes ruin it? And I want to make a distinction. It's not like you made some Star Wars side story or some maybe prequel event or some event that took place that's isolated from the main timeline of the Skywalker saga. That's different. So like, let's say I made some Star Wars like, ooh, the tales of Savage and Darth Maul, and niggas like, that shit's trash. They probably wouldn't care because it probably doesn't really mess with the continuity of anything major overall. But now if I come make episode 10, 9, 12, and 10, 9, 12 conflicts with maybe 4, 5, 6 or something, I really think that if you're going to do that and come into an established series, you need to pay respect to what came before, or don't fucking do it. And I would argue that the Disney trilogy did not show any respect to its legacy, to what came before it. That's my opinion. I think 7 did, actually, all things considered. Sorry. 8 and 9 probably didn't.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think if you're a Star Wars what I want to say. Anyways, if you're a Star Wars fan, and I think if you're feeling that way, I don't think you're not. I think you're pretty justified, honestly, all things considered. But again, I picked Star Wars because it's not a series that I have any deep investment and love in. Like, I didn't even watch Kenobi.
It's so weird just because of how Star Wars is, because it's just like, I guess from when we're talking about things like abilities, the Force just does whatever the fuck it wants to balance shit out. So, so whether you like it or not, dumb shit's just going to happen. That's just the unfortunate truth. And that kind of just sucks. So like, and I guess maybe I think I'm sometimes like, I'm not gonna hold you. If I see like continuations of like theories or something and I don't like it, I just pretend that shit doesn't exist. I just like, I do not count this.
Episode 8 Casino.
This shit is not relevant.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah, the casino scene. I don't think the casino scene was like the worst piece of cinema that people make it out. It just wasn't good. I was just bored.
You weren't just bored the whole film?
The whole film? No, because I think there's certain things.
I don't think 9's a good movie, but I definitely wasn't bored watching 9. I think I was definitely like fighting for my life with the slowest space. I don't know, man. Again, I think 8.
I think it was just more like, why are we doing the things we're doing? I think that was my bigger concern.
Do you have any extra insight to the creative, like the behind the scenes? Did you know that Rian Johnson hadn't read or watched episode 7 when he started 8?
No, I didn't know, but I can believe it because that's how most directors, when it comes to
Does
films, usually are. Unfortunately.
isn't that really really stupid in your opinion though?
Oh, I think it's completely disrespectful. I don't know why you would take on a project that you have no understanding of. I don't know why you wouldn't do the basic research.
Mm,
I think that's bad, and like, yeah, I hate when any director does that.
yeah, Alien Milk
Whether
TV
it's comic
series,
books,
Star
they
Wars
don't
was the
read
best.
comics or read the books. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's dumb. TV shows, movies, like, yeah, I hate when directors or writers do that. It makes no sense. I don't know why you wouldn't make your life easier.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, people came for the source material. They didn't come to see your fucking ability. I'm sorry. Don't take the risk. Make your own shit.
This is
But
why.
just make sure the shit
Okay,
that is
this
good.
kind of ties into like I guess another point of this where it's like I don't want to say
It
this.
is an ego thing, KGH. Yes, it is.
No, I want to say something because it's something that I say and I understand. Like I know what I'm saying. But okay, I'll just say. It. Hopefully, I understand what I'm saying. I actually think everything to some degree is probably derivative at this point. There's probably not many things you could truly do that's completely top to bottom new, innovative, and not done by something else, or the groundwork wasn't at least laid out years prior. Would you?
Yes.
Do you guys agree with that, or do you think I'm tripping? Do you agree
Are
with that?
you talking about like just in like the concept of general storytelling?
Yeah, like okay, I want to tell a story,
yeah,
but like
one,
yeah, like you know, space,
yeah, 1000%.
dinosaurs,
Yeah,
like you know, it's
1000%.
okay.
Yes, 1000%. Yeah.
And what I've always said is, I think it's your personal worldview, ideologies, philosophies, and life that you put into your stories that makes it at least personal, if not original. I think some things are. I think some things can be generic and good. Like this story doesn't introduce anything that hasn't been done in storytelling before or cinema before, but it does all these things at a high level. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I
think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna give an example, but it literally went in my head and out my head at the same time. I literally saw this movie this year, but go on.
I think it's hard to find something truly original that's focused on execution. That's fair. Best line from episode: fight hate with love. Anakin really should have followed that. They just wanted to be their vision. I'm assuming it's an ego thing. I think there's some ego in a lot of these things involved too. What did I just say? I talked about originality. I talked about things being derivative. I think I said nothing is truly original in a sense, but you know, execution, whatever, right? So, what I take a lot of issue with the fact that we reboot, remake, or try to adapt a bunch of things that already exist.
I agree.
I really wish that we would just make complete new things, just from start to bottom. Or if you're gonna like, I'll give Marvel credit for this. I do think they attempt to adapt characters that may not be that popular. Now, nobody cares about the Inhumans. Them niggas stinky. But they tried. I heard the movie's really bad. Didn't watch it. Don't care. I think Kamala Khan was a safe bet. I don't know if the Miss Marvel show did well. I heard it was It was awful.
I heard it did really, really well.
Oh, I didn't say I wasn't talking about how it was received in terms of monetary value. I just heard it was bad. I don't know if it was good. I don't know how people. I don't know. I don't watch.
I think people had initial hate for it, but I think there was an actual shift. I think like halfway through, where people started to enjoy it. I could be wrong because I think the audience approval ratings was actually pretty high, where people started to come around to like liking it.
And you know, and by the way, none of that stuff means anything to me. So that's why when people are like they're bombing it in IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, I'm like they don't tell me what's good or bad, so I don't care. It's like a weird thing to like clutch onto. So I was last time I was watching these videos is like, look at these critics lying about this show, and I'm like, is this site like, does it really hold this much power? Am I just out of the loop because I'm not a cinema guy or film guy? I don't know. It's inoffensive, not bad or great from what I hear. Lion King live action was straight up worse. Okay. I am assuming.
I don't know if I would agree with that personally.
I didn't watch any of the live action remakes of any of those movies, I don't think, except kind of Mulan. Kind of.
Oh, I didn't see that.
No, I'm saying like Mulan. Like one time I was at my friend's house and I was hanging out with the one of the other brothers, and he was watching it with his friend. So they had it on. So anytime I walk in the kitchen and stuff, I might stop for a second and peep, but I didn't really watch it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna watch that.
All right,
I was like,
so
no, there's no way.
also all this to circle back to She-Hulk, right? And one of the
Hmm.
things that I'm understanding from a lot of people who like the actual character of Jennifer Walters, I want to make something very clear with me. I hate Hulk. I hate She-Hulk, Red Hulk, Abomination, you name it. I don't like any of them. They don't move me
Or
in any capacity. I don't like Bruce Banner. Never did. So the reason why I would never watch it has to do with the fact that I don't fucking like Hulk. I'm not interested. People are really upset at the fact that even I think I remember this correctly. She-Hulk's transformation, I don't think is based off anger. Bruce's I think is one of the only ones that's fueled by rage. Even I think Red Hulk, it's a type of radiation. I could be wrong. And maybe it changed over the years. It's been a while, and these are not characters that I really care about intensely like that. And then some characters like Abomination and stuff, they had some type of glands or whatever. I can't remember what all it is. So there's that. Like, again, lore stuff, consistency with things that they know about the comic books. Now, granted, comic books are one of those things where liberties are taking all the time with any adaptation. So I do think you gotta take it with a grain of salt. Because even me, like, looking at, like, MCU Thor is a fucking joke, and as far as I'm concerned, in comparison to what I've seen in comic books. Not that I'm a Thor guy. Red Hulk gets hotter by getting mad, if I remember correctly. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. It's just been a lot. All this for She-Hulk slander. Lovely. No, just She-Hulk is like the I guess the low hanging fruit punching bag that I have as far as new things that I think are not handling anything correctly. Because I've heard, you'd be surprised, mostly from women in my life who are, because a lot of MCU has become like the MCU, I guess what they call it. Because a lot of girls I know really like the MCU, and they hate She-Hulk. They can't stand it. Remember that one scene everyone's mad at? You know what I'm talking about. I think you know what I'm talking about. The something about I get catcalling, whatever, right? Do you
Hmm.
remember what I told you about? I told you about I told you how some people are perceiving it.
Yeah.
I had one of my friends verbatim repeat that to me. Like, if she was always in control of her transformation to anger, when those guys in the bar were hitting on her before that, when Hulk kidnapped her, she was gonna fucking murder them. I hate this bitch. And I started laughing. But the question, I don't know. Do you watch it? Did you watch any of it? I don't know if you care.
No.
Okay, yeah. See, Hulk whack. No, not moving nobody. But do you think that the writing team respects any of the She-Hulk natural source material? And if you think they don't, do you think that's a problem? Because again, I know sometimes with some characters we take liberties, you know, especially with comic book characters. Comic characters have so many versions of themselves with the multiverse that can be vastly different. It could be a Wolverine that's fucking Professor Xavier, and he's never been to war before, you know, like, and he's not even Canadian. He's like from Europe. Like, I get that, but I still think they pull and draw and they twist and pervert things that are originally what make that character what they were. I'm gonna use my favorite version of quote unquote evil Superman that I like. Don't like evil Superman, doesn't move me. Ultraman, blah blah, yada yada. I think in Justice Superman, I like him because I see the Clark Kent that I know and love in there. But he's so clouded by pain, despair, and the failures of his life that he became a dictator. But I see him in there. You know what I'm saying? So they took those parts about him and they
Fake as
twisted it.
Justice Lord Superman. No, I'm playing.
No, Justice Lords is not a bad example too. If you're gonna go back to the Justice League, but like, with the death of the Flash, right?
Yeah. I'm just joking.
But my point is, you see those characters in there.
Yeah.
And I think what I actually am starting to see with a lot of the She-Hulk discourse that I just see, and mind you, this is so passively, I don't really care, is they've showed no respect to the actual Jessica. Shit, what's happened to my brain? Jennifer? I don't remember now. Walters that they know. It's just some bastardization, feminist, woke, whatever propaganda. They don't like it. I don't know how you see it though. Because
to be honest, I don't know. I don't know.
Has become about like pandering, like that,
I don't
and
know.
viral scenes. Viral scenes is the point I wanted to make too. Like, this show was made for these scenes, or this episode was made for this 1 2-minute scene, and it's like, this is what makes people want to watch. Oh, the scene's so good, and it's like, but like, I remember being duped by certain shows earlier. Cause I'm like, oh wow, what show is this from? This is a really good scene. And I go and I'm like, this show's awful except for that scene, in my opinion, obviously. So, how do I feel about MCU Thanos? He's also pretty. I want to say this. Oh shit! Is it Infinity War? I think Infinity War is a really good movie. Actually, I don't like Endgame, cause Thanos is the protagonist of Infinity War. He's the protagonist. He's the protagonist. I saw some of oh shit, what are the stories called? I can't remember off the top of my head. Like the Thanos' journey to get the Infinity Stones. I saw a lot of the stuff in there. But if you're asking me, I really prefer kind of nihilist, a simp to death.
That's just not
Thanos
moving me, person.
that I like, that I'm used to. I think this is an interesting adaptation. I just think they've made a couple of mistakes that I don't think make sense. For example, the whole half and half thing. There are tons of life forms in the MCU universe that do not require food, water, and shelter to survive. There are some races in the but Marvel universe. They're like hive minds. They're like blobs. They're not humanoid. They don't eat. They just so like his whole wipe out half the universe to not impress Lady Death. I don't actually think works in the grand scheme of that. Makes sense. But all things considered, he's an intriguing adaptation, but it's not the Thanos that I know and like.
Can I go a pushback?
Go ahead.
I like that though, because I think a lot of people initially kind of thought, okay, this guy's making sense, right? Mm-hmm. But you see the cracks in his plans after you think about it, and I think that's the point.
Okay.
He's insane. That's the point. He's the Mad Titan. Thanos is insane. He is so headstrong that he cannot perceive himself to not be right in the situation. He can't comprehend that a better plan exists. That's the point. This nigga's insane. So I like that. I like that he's so driven for his cause. And I think his convictions, honestly, probably the greatest part about his character.
That's a good point, Miles. I think I agree with that.
Yeah. So that's how I saw it. Like, people looked at him like, oh, like, he's this smart guy. Like, no, the plan, like, maybe there's some parts about the plan you can agree with, but there's a lot of better ways you could go about it if you have the Infinity Stones. He's
like,
insane.
You just created an abundance of...
Yes, like... he's insane. He's... Yeah. I don't want to say he's grief-stricken, but he is traumatized by what happened to his planet.
I guess. Okay, I'm okay with that. If you look at it, if that's your perspective, that's fine. I guess with me, it's just that him doing that would be like death would be like, ooh, you sent all this death for me, and that would make her like come out and pop out. So like, I just think that maybe the execution from that from a logic tree makes a little more sense to me. But I actually hear what you're saying. Like the point was that his plan was always mad from the get go, even though he's dedicated to it, and it's based off of his personal MCU experiences from the planet that he comes from, not having enough resources. So.
Yes, my biggest gripe, I think, with his character is I would have enjoyed to see his more scientific and like intellectual side. That's what I think we were missing.
Okay.
Because I think when we're looking at it as a combatant, as we saw the way in which he broke down Hulk in combat, to his knowledge about like the universe, his control of his armies and subordinates, I think like in most acts, like he was good. I just feel like when we're looking at like his intelligence of like science and technology, I feel like that was kind of mitigated. But I feel like they do that with a lot of characters.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. But yeah, it's just I don't know. Just when it comes to like mainstream and legacy, like, and also another issue that we have, by the way, that I'm sure you'll agree with me is monopolies are not a good thing.
Oh, horrible.
And when you really look at so many industries and who really has the majority percentage of controlling power and sway over all these things, it's kind of scary. A scary thought was kind of presented to me today, even just kind of a little unrelated. But just that, like, kind of Google and Apple own so much from the application app standpoint that if there's someone they don't like or something that the narrative is not good, they could be like, Cause I think I saw something like True Social is not allowed on. I think it's Trump's app or one of those alternate Getter, Parler, whatever, something. Like it's off Apple or something. And it's like for one company to have so much power to completely remove it from like basically half of people's or majority of people's phones nowadays is crazy to me. And I think about Disney having such a monopoly on the movie and maybe to somewhat degree TV industry. I really don't think they're trying anymore. They don't have to. What else are you really gonna watch to a certain degree, to a certain point? But it's
yes,
like,
no, that
okay.
that's the whole point. Yeah, monopolies can just because they own it all, they can spike up
What are you
prices
gonna do?
because
Go watch
there's no other
something else?
competition.
Like, yeah, so.
It's unfortunate. It kills creativity and it kills the joy of why we got to this point in the first place. And it's unfortunate because technology is growing faster than laws can be made. Proper laws, I should say, proper laws that can regulate stuff can be made to match this speed of increase. So it's really, really unfortunate.
Okay. Because I think that's something that like that's why I personally like I actually haven't seen anything really except for a couple documentaries from the Daily Wire Plus. But I think more independent. What is it? What do we call them? What are they? A media corporation, conglomerate? What are they? I don't know what to call them. But I think more. Like, let's say that one day I became super popular influencer guy. I think that's something that I want to do now. Start my own type of like media stuff where we produce our own shows, movies, cartoons, even maybe or something like that. Maybe keep it print. I don't mind keeping it print and just doing something like Have you seen Eric July? You know who that is? And he made his like Rippaverse.
No.
He make basically I don't actually remember. I actually don't know the whole story. I didn't know who he was until I heard about the Rippaverse. But I think he was somebody who was kind of upset with them. I don't know if you've seen how crazy DC and Marvel comics are. And that Snowflake, it makes the Snowflake safe space stuff look pretty mild in comparison. But it's really pandery. Really embarrassing. Like, remember, actually, you saw the Thor shit. Thor of All My Hood. Fucking Miles Morales. Like,
I saw it, yeah.
Like, disgusting. Like, really, really awful stuff. And I guess he was fed up. So he's like, instead of looking for a seat at the table, I'll make my own. And he put his money where his mouth is, and he started to work on a bunch of comic book related, like concept and everything. With I think either GoFundMe or PayPal or Kickstarter or something of the sort. And he raised up to $2 million like the first 3 days he put that shit out. I saw him issue one. He's a black guy, by the way. You know, trying to make diverse content. Well, diverse content to diverse heroes, but just make good superhero shit. That's nothing to do with having to be like political or pandering or whatever. But because I don't know what the term is. Is it what was the term to that? One of the guys I know who like studies the economy and like stocks and stuff. He had a term for it. Alternate economy. Alternate real. I don't remember what the word was, but like PayPal has like a pretty dominant thing over like digital pay and stuff like that. And they froze it like, nah, we're not giving you that like $2 million. But PayPal has such a monopoly on how you can pay for certain things. It's like monopoly are just bad in general. I just don't like. And actually, I have a good example from Canada. Remember when I lost internet? And I told you we really have 2.5 major like network providers. It's not a good thing. Competition is needed. So I don't know. People are always whining about Disney's, yet they'll still watch these movies, and that's something I don't like about people. Like, I'm gonna use Pokemon Sword and Shield as an example. Don't complain about the no national decks. Oh, we removed the Pokemon because you want to work on the animations and the animations are trash, and buy the game. Shut the fuck up then. I don't want to hear that shit. Speak with your wallet. Now, I understand Nintendo specifically is pretty mean in the sense that, like, I won't lie to you, Miles. Let's say we did that, but they might never make not Pokemon, but like, let's say it was like a Metroid game and they didn't like it and someone bought it, they'll just never make Metroid again. They're kind of like that. But I think that's a risk you have to be willing to take if you truly want to institute some change in the things that you care about. But I think too many people are too cowardly to stand and rest on their laurels or their convictions, and they always end up caving. Because I do it. There's so much shit. Like, if you really think there wasn't a part that didn't want to buy that DLC for Kingdom Hearts and Loki want to get the next one, you'd be lying. I'd be lying to you if that's not in me. I do not support what Nomura and Square Enix have done with this series. I'm not paying for it. I'm not buying it. I refuse. I don't know. Also, side note, when did it become cool to stand corporations and like companies? When did that become cool? Remember when like we were all anti-establishment and like non-conformists? Remember that was like the
I think it's always been there. I think it's always been there,
You think
honestly.
so?
I think so.
Okay. I guess maybe I also remember that with technology now and me seeing comments on the internet, there's things that have always existed that are just now highlighted to me more
Yeah.
often now. So maybe
I
you're
think that's just all a lot of stuff is nowadays. I don't think like the shift in like I don't think there's been a huge shift in like I don't know, is it social dynamics I want to say, ways in which like we believe it as much as people think. It's definitely changed for sure. I just don't think it's been like the 180 that most people see. I just think a lot of things are more highlighted, which in turn would have impact on how we view and interact with like these things for sure. But yeah, like I don't know, like I just kind of lose like faith in like people and like our system like every day when I just like interact and like see things on the internet. I just don't care about much shit.
It's so funny because like I told you I have a bad habit of somewhat doom scrolling, and it's like
Oh yeah.
I can just kind of be going through the motions, what have you, and I'm reading a bunch of stuff online, and I'm like, Civil War's coming, the world's ending, hunger, blah blah blah. But I go outside, I talk to regular people, friends, family, acquaintances, and I kind of just because I like I realize I'm a brain. I like to pick people's brains a lot. That's just how I am. I talk to them, and people are pretty normal, and my faith in humanity doesn't go up by much, but also like 8%. And I was just like, if we can get those normal people who are just like, because I honestly believe most people are normal. And when it comes to maybe certain things about the world's current events and news, they're not stupid, but they passively absorb all this stuff through like Orange Man bad, this, that, what they see on Twitter, social media, Instagram, whatever the case is. But if they just sat for a second and had somebody presented them in a sensible manner, they would see like, oh no, I don't agree with that. Remember I told you when I was telling them that like, what do you think about like third term? Get rid of it. They're like, what? And they looked at me like I threatened their mother. Like, what the hell are you talking about? No, that's not okay. I was like, people have sense. Some people have sense. So like, I think my biggest issue is I never want to abandon hope, even though I be sniffing hopium when I want to give up. I want to believe in humanity waking up and doing what I think is like the right things, or the right things for at least them, their family, and the areas they come from. Because the new issue that I'm starting to see is like, I don't even see stuff as a political issue, like left, right, whatever the case is. It's just those who know against those who are maybe too preoccupied with their lives to know. If that makes sense. Like, I gotta work, gotta go work, take care of my kid. Maybe I have class too, and then work out, and I go to sleep. Like, I don't have time for news. I don't know what's going on in the world. Like, that's a lot of people. So they don't have time to sit down and really consume that. Now, I still think that's not an excuse personally, but I get it. It's an explanation. And I'm starting to just wonder if just people are too busy with their lives and stuff like that. And that kind of ties into like, some people I think are upset with a lot of the state of media today because they can't escape politics. Sometimes I want to turn on, I used to go to One Piece, or a game to get away from real life. I just wanted to engage in this game and lose myself in Xenoblade Chronicles X because the world's too much. And I maybe some people are finding they can't do that anymore, and maybe that's frustrating. I don't know if that's a valid complaint, but I'll throw it out there.
Interesting. I guess like The way I view things, I guess, like I'm an optimistic nihilist, if you will, right?
I think I'm
uh,
a realist, but I know me. You know the line from Thing, don't do that, don't give me hope. If I don't have hope, I'm good. Like, it is what it is. I just move in reality and I just adjust accordingly. But when there's like that sliver of light in my heart, I don't know. I start like being weird, but anyway, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I hear you. It, this is just like I feel like things are just so weird
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like uh literally it's kind of like your argument how you say like when authors have the 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 reins for the characters and we have the expensive cast, it's like the cast now starts pulling them rather than the vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's kind of how collectively humans, or if you want to make subgroups of it, collectively per whatever region or culture or like area you like partake in, Western civilization, Canada, US, whatever. That group is the reins and life is like the reindeer. And I think we have reached such a new age, unique point in life that now like we've all lost controls of how we're supposed to properly navigate through this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. And I think that's where we like reach now.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to
So
me.
so I think this is why there's so much confusion
And
and I
it's a scary thought too. Sorry, real quick, because I got old. I got old. I'm getting older and older, so I guess I think about these things more often. There'll be kids who don't know a life without social media at all. Like, as since
yes.
the day they were born, IG, Instagram, and things like that, and this level of technology has always been permissible and accessible, very accessible to them. And for some people, they grow up seeing what's happening now, and that will be their slow conditioning as they grow up. And I think it could be problematic if they think things like, I don't agree with this person, I don't like it. What do? We get rid of them by deplatforming and canceling and stuff like that. So just like, I'm like intrigued, I'm a little intrigued to see how the world is going to keep churning, if it keeps churning, but it is kind of scary. I do want to say, during primaries, midterms, and general elections, the world gets weird though. Well, especially in America. So no one cares about us. So this is why I don't bore you guys with Canadian politics. Like, who? What? Stephen Harper? Who? So they're like, you probably just know Trudeau. So, anyways, I'm not boring you guys any longer. Unless you have any final words.
Uh
Yeah, full circle. I agree with that. Also, yeah, a lot of things that happen today that are new, people believe are new, are not very new. That's music, fashion, trends. This shit is so cyclical, and I do think it's a little arrogant and ignorant to think that I'm the new age, new cool kid. Everything we're doing is like new. It's like, nah, it's actually not like that. Go ahead, though.
I guess final thoughts. Hope everyone in the chat doing fine. I know it's late. Hope you guys had a good day, good week, good month, good year, good whatever. Hope, tomorrow's decent. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna wish hope for y'all niggas. Life ain't that great, but I hope tomorrow. Uh, I hope that we can continue to engage critically, yet enjoying our conversations, whatever they may be. And I hope that, yeah, I don't know. Hope things are cool. That's all I have to
I
say.
feel like that was really good send off words. But I remember something really random. We don't have to go through it really deeply. Did you? I have to remember their names because I'm really bad at like internet people. Turn that 405 times when touch the grass. Full facts. Something Corey Kenshin
That's my guy.
and another black guy.
Gideon.
Here we go, Gideon. I would have got it. They put out some videos talking about YouTube's favoritism and Twitch's favoritism and racism and stuff. Did you see any of that? Did you see any of that discourse?
Oh yeah, I watched all of it.
I thought it was kind of funny because I was just like, did he just realize this?
Did you see the Abbott? Did you see the Abbott and Preach one too?
That's actually why I know about it. Cause I
okay.
I like Abba and Preach. I watch them not frequently, but often enough that like I could say like every
You know,
month I see at least
Canadian brothers.
I see at least 4 videos from them. I need to speak French. Let's take I say 4 videos from every month, 4 to 6 videos. But that's how I knew about it. That's how I knew about it in general. So interesting conversation. I wonder. I don't think it's gonna do anything meaningful. But one takeaway that I think I saw some of them come to that I need more POCs to realize is none of these motherfuckers care about you. They don't like you. They don't care. I would say they don't like you. Maybe not. But they definitely don't care about you, your struggles, your marginalized. They don't care.
No,
That
I think
liberal racism stuff is so real when they talk
I think
down
it's fair
to
to say
you,
they
they
don't care.
patronize you and things of that nature. So they'll be like, oh, because I seen that black creator stuff, yada, yada. I'm like, I'm not even taking that. Just leave me alone. I'm not interested. I don't want it. Close it, yada, yada. And do some possibly underhanded slight stuff. Now, I don't know if Corey, Kenshin, and Gideon were right in that sense, but I do think it's crazy that girl had sex on stream and got back for 7 days. But did you hear that? Like, apparently, the people who decide if you stay banned or not are like a third party. It's like random people, and a lot of those guys are men, and they're like simps, and they like these girls and these women, and they like coerce them into stuff or ask for favors. I saw this girl on a podcast. I don't remember the guy's name right now. White dude. And she was like on Instagram, she'll just like flirt and or fuck with the people at Instagram or fuck them and then get her account back when she broke all the like guidelines. It's very, very, very strange times we're in.
I think I've actually heard about that. That's insane. That's insane.
No, it was an Asian girl. I'm trying to remember the white guy with the podcast, bro. You know what I'm talking about, man. He's popular.
White guy with the.
He's okay, you know what? You're right. That didn't
does
help.
Does he have tattoos?
Yeah. Hell tattoos.
Andrew, not Andrew.
Adam.
Andy.
Adam 22.
There you go.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. I wonder if in these weird ways, because like I don't know how all these companies truly function in that sense, but if like let's say I'm on the council and someone at home and I'm like, she a bad bitch, reinstate. I could see it. I could fucking see it, bro. I swear I could see it. But again, that's all conjecture. I cannot prove any of that. Don't take that with a grain of salt, but
yeah.
But getting literally clapped on stream and being like, "Oh, 7 day ban" is wild. That's kind of funny.
I think my biggest thing with all the Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. So to me, I understand that it's private, internet company, whatever, so they can make their rules and regulations. I just personally don't like when there isn't transparency, right? Mm-hmm. You guys are content creators. You're the reason why these things are popular, right? Without these people, you guys don't have this thing. You don't have this system. So I don't think I just hate when there's like you guys can't be transparent or honest as to when you're going to give these people realistically sentences, like of we're the judge, jury, executioner, but you don't even get to show up to the trial. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I just think more transparency should be had. And I think that resolves a lot of issues.
I think with me, the issue is as simple as, because even today's video that I put out, not that it's doing numbers, it is what it is. That video is not monetized. I don't know if there's been an algorithm change or something that happened recently, but I promise you, I can have a 5-minute video. I don't make an aggressive gesture or whatever. The footage is all like Tower of God footage. I don't curse once, limited, and I have to appeal it. And all I've ever asked them is just tell me exactly what it is you do and don't want, what doesn't get monetized, and be consistent. It reminds me of referees. If I'm playing a game and Miles kind of like is physical with me, and then maybe he takes up a notch to a next tier and the ref blows the whistle, to me, you set the tone of that level of physicality is okay until it goes to this level of physicality. Now, if he like his shirt brushes me and they call foul, I'm like, that's not consistent. I hate that shit. Set a tone and keep it. That's all I've ever asked from these motherfuckers. Be transparent. What is the term of services? What can and can't do, quote unquote? Though I don't like the idea of me being somewhat censored like that, but just make it transparent and be consistent. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I don't like the company consistency. I hear you. But anyways, let me get out of you guys' head in here. Tomorrow will be the third part of the Tower of God climb. See if I can get like a Haku or someone maybe. I think one of these weeks I'll try to get like Joe or someone to hop into. I think he would love to talk about the beginning of the series with me and stuff. So it'll be mostly positive and everything, but and
that would be
Ryzen
interesting.
And stuff, so
maybe his fans will realize you actually like the series.
Yeah, I do have a bit of I do have a bad rap, but I think my complaining and whining and negativity comes across wrong. But I don't think a lot of them just truly understand. My frustration comes from me caring too much, maybe.
Yes.
If I didn't care, I like. Do you believe that the opposite of love is hate, or do you believe it's indifference?
Indifference.
I agree. See, same with me. If I just do not pay it any mind or don't speak about it, that's how you know it means nothing to me. If I at least take the time to hate on it, it meant something in some capacity. That's all I'm saying. Y'all be safe, man.
Bye.